G'day ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Draw with Jazza. I'm Jazza, and today I am going to attempt to create a spectacular artwork with literally the cheapest, crappiest textures I could possibly find. Now this is going to be a challenge in part because the textures are cheap and crap, but also because I've been spoiled for a very long time and I'm used to using alcohol-based markers, which, I mean, these things are amazing, but they're expensive. But my goal in today's video is to show that while these expensive art supplies are fun to use, they're not always necessary to create something cool. Now before we jump into the content of this video, I wanted to start off by letting you guys know that this video is sponsored by Wix. For those of you who don't know, Wix is a friend of this channel and an amazing place that you can build your own website. Whether you're an expert or a novice, they have everything you need. Seriously, go check it out with a link in the card and in the description. It's completely free to go jump in and use their features and make your own website and share it with your friends. Whether you're looking for something simple like a place to share your artwork or build your brand, or for something even more complex, implementing things like contact forms and FAQ pages, maps and booking systems, e-commerce and more is all incredibly simple and powerful with Wix's interface and tools. I built drawwithjazza.com using Wix. It literally took me 6 hours to build from start to finish. You can grab it and get 15% off their yearly unlimited or e-commerce packages. So go check that out. Details in the description, and a huge thank you to Wix for sponsoring this video. Now I'm anxious to see what I can make with these, but as usual when I try out a new or weird art supply, I need to test it. Now why are these so expensive? Well, because they're alcohol based, you can do these really cool tricks like blending, where you can take several colors of similar hue, similar tones. You can see how they lay down quite flat and look very vibrant. And if I lay them down one after the other and then go back to my original colors, I can blend and create really nice gradient effects. Oh my goodness, just using these makes me feel sad that I'm not getting to use them for this artwork. Look at that. Beyond that, you can actually get some contrasting tones like this blue and green, and just again, because it's alcohol based, even if I just, let's say I do a green circle here, green ball, I can mix in the blue around the outside like this, just sort of do the edge and then go back to that green and once again blend and do these little circly shapes. And basically by doing this, I'm laying down more and more of that alcohol that's mixing the colors together until I get a nice gradient, even though the colors are contrasting. Look at that. Oh, it's beautiful. Oh no, let's try these things. They don't want to come out of the packet. They're being stubborn already. I mean, I have lots of color options. That's nice. I'm just going to put these down for a direct comparison just to see how they work. Now, they're obviously not alcohol based, so they probably won't blend. I don't know what, oh, do you know, that doesn't go down too bad. But if you lay it down too thickly, you'll see that actually sort of breaks up the paper. It sort of tears it up a little bit. Yeah, see, that's where if I go back to that yellow and try and blend, do you know what? It semi-works for like half a second, but I've actually got like the paper coming off of the texture here. Let's zoom in for a clearer example. So there they are, nice and zoomed in. You can see that paper? You can barely see it, but I've also tried to hold back a little bit. So if I just take this orange texture now and just push it out, see how it really doesn't take that much to just scrub it in a little bit and you start lifting the paper off. It really tears it up. I bet you if I keep doing this, it's just gonna make a hole in the paper. Look at that. It's just falling apart. This is actually sculpting a hole in the paper. Oh my God, look at that. But even when I don't go OTT like that one there, you can see just directly the gradients next to each other. On the left, we have something really smooth and rich and beautiful, and on the right, it's not the worst thing in the world, but it's pretty janky and we can't create the same effect. So I'll be interested to see, you know, how that limitation comes in place in the piece that we're going to create today. Because the other challenge is that creating a flat, even tone can be doable, but really tricky. It requires me having a really even hand, but if I accidentally leave a gap and then try and go back, you'll notice that it actually sort of lays down too much and it goes too dark, and then I can't undo that. Oh god. Let's try and do the green-blue blend. This is thoroughly depressing. Oh boy. Yeah, no, blending, not gonna happen. Oh, do you know, that's not the worst in the world. Oh, yeah, no, that's pretty bad. I want to use different methods that probably won't involve blending, but trying to create really even tones and see if I can plan and execute a piece that is ambitious and exciting and awesome. And that if I showed people, they wouldn't guess that it was made with a pack of textures that literally costs a couple of dollars. Now you guys know I don't like to do anything by half measures, so when I say I want to do something epic, I really do want to do something epic. So, texture for scale, this is not the size of paper we're working with. We're going double the size with a very large A3 piece of paper today, and I'm going to create something as epic as possible. When I say epic, I mean like epic. Let's just see how this goes. The first thing I needed to do was scribble down on a scrap piece of card just to check all the colours and see if they're all usable. Being mildly surprised that they were all in good working order, I move on to a little plan formulation on the other side of my scrap card, with some thumbnail sketches of concepts that I thought would be epic enough to make those markers look more awesome than they feel to use. Being somewhat inspired by the daunting task of having to rely on these dodgy materials, I decided to create a piece that could act as a bit of a battle cry for artists also wielding cheap materials. I move on to create a refined sketch and composition, a scene depicting a young schoolboy carrying the same cheap markers that I would be drawing with, holding his ground on a battlefield of giant paper. In front of him stands a giant beast, challenging him. A sentient art supplies golem made up of expensive colored inks and liquids. "No, beast!" the child screams. "You and your fancy art liquid will not defeat me! I may only wield crappy markers, but I can create art with my soul, and that will triumph over your sentient alcohol ass any day." At least that's how the scene plays out in my head. It's time to colour this thing in, and this is where the real challenge begins. First, the beast. Now, I know I wanted him to be made up of an epic mixture of colours, but knowing that these markers don't blend and can't be laid down in more than one layer, I needed a creative way to make this happen. So, I opted to attempt a look of marbled paint. Colours clean and individually showing, all swirling and intertwining and shaping around the mass of the beast. Working with these layers of colours and lines was good in that I could use a lot of colours without needing them to blend, plus I could use the flow of the lines and swirls in a way that would accentuate the perspective of the character, make him look more three-dimensional, essentially. Adding one colour at a time to the marbled mass, eventually the whole dude was coloured in so I could move on to giving shape to the world around him, and add more depth if I could. First, the outlines, drawing the clean lines of the schoolboy and the paper battlefield between them, and then the beast. Minimal use within the beast for some of the more extreme geometry of the body mass. I really loved the way these lines around the beast made him look really clean and super badass, but the next part of my plan, in theory, would really make him pop. So I start off by filling the entire background with a solid black. This was particularly tricky since, as I've shown, these markers leave awkward marks and lines if they go over the same place twice. It's unavoidable, so as much as I wanted a clean black backdrop of solid colour, it simply wasn't possible. So to work around this, I created a few base perspective lines to break up the background and give me some guidance. Then, chunk by chunk, I filled in these portions, drawing only in the direction of those perspective lines. While the background would still have the awkward cheap marker textures, they would be consistently in the same direction and evenly distributed, meaning that, in the end, the textures might add to the grand sense of scale in this image and make the beast seem even bigger. Next, I took a big leap of faith and attempted to use the light grey texture to add a layer of shadow around the beast. And praise Poseidon, it worked! But it was still very tricky. I had to work really fast and accurately, because if I go over the same stroke twice, it would tear up the paper and make it look like it's a big black smudge where I just drew. Now, as you can see, zoomed in with me working on this piece, the textures throughout the piece are pretty strong, and it's a very obviously cheap marker sort of look, but because I worked as clean as possible and used the markers on the paper and with each other as intelligently as I possibly could, at least the end result was something that looked really consistent and made for more of a stylistic aesthetic than something that looked like a lack of proper art materials. Last but not least, I gave the schoolboy his uniform colours and a touch of depth with some two-tone shading, and then added the final touch of some grey shadows around the paper battlefield to add a touch more depth and to push the epic piece over the finish line. So there it is, ladies and gentlemen. This is my finished artwork using some cheap, crappy textures. Now obviously there are some things that couldn't be avoided, like the texture of the marker when it lays on top of itself. You can't get a flat color, so I was just really careful to make sure to go in consistent directions so it wasn't distracting and looked like an intentional texture. I was also pleasantly surprised that with this grey texture I still managed to somehow get a layer of shading in on this giant character. I feel like the theme of this artwork is also quite fitting for the challenge. We have this underdog of a young character using cheap textures himself. I feel you, buddy. It's no easy feat. I guess it's just really fun to take note every now and then that you can make art and have fun without a big budget. In fact, all of these markers, all of these textures that I have opened here, plus all of these unopened packets, all combined to still be cheaper than this. But I couldn't make that with this now, could I? No. Oh my god, this video is so inspirational! How? Anyway, while we're feeling inspired and on the topic of things you can do with little to no budget, I want to wrap up by thanking Wix.com and encourage you guys to go check them out. If you want to build a website for your hobby or your business, Wix is the best place to do that. You can go check it out and get started for free with a link in the card and in the description. And if you want some of the premium awesome features, you can check those details out in the description below and get 15% off if you're one of the first 100 lucky people to use that coupon code. But that aside, all of the free features are really powerful and you can today build a website that you can use for your hobby or your business. I love talking about this sponsor, and those of you who have been around here for a while know that I really like the value that they provide, and I use their service. I built drawwithjazza.com with it. It's really fun to use, very intuitive, and of course, if you're a little more techie than I am, you can dive into the depths of your website, alter its code, and get into the nitty-gritties and the powerful app building features of your website using Wix code and all of their amazing features. So a huge thumbs up for Wix and a thanks to them for sponsoring this video. My recommendation is to you to go check them out, and of course my thanks to you for watching this video. Please like it if you enjoyed it and subscribe to Draw with Jazza if you want to join in for more fun with art 3 times a week. That's it for now, ladies and gentlemen, and until next time, I'll see you later. Make sure to subscribe to my channel to see more of my videos, and while you're at it, check out my shop where I sell ebooks, brushes, photo references, video courses, and more. There's another video you might enjoy from my channel over there, and you can also check out my behind the scenes daily vlog channel, Daily Jazza. That's it for now, and until next time, I'll see you later.